So David Pakman has been someone on the left. He's a very weird figure in like leftist internet culture or politics because he always came across as someone like you knew that what his politics generally were. They weren't exactly the idealistic progressive politics that we largely think about, but they were close enough where you felt like this is someone who you can build a coalition with. This is someone you can be, in partnership with, building towards a better world or a better America, whatever you want to say. However, over the past, I would say like probably year, it's almost like it's been kind of building up. And I'm not sure whether David's perspective has changed or whether, he's just kind of been left by the wayside as far as his views go, and the entire movement has advanced. I shudder to think I don't think that's what happened. I think like David at some point started speaking out more against the leftist subculture, but I'm not sure. But he has not discussed Palestine at length on his show in a very long time. And there was a caller who, very much like you and I, wanted to have him discuss it a bit and honestly handled this in a very intelligent way. Like, a big shout out to whoever this caller is, but this is David Pakman.
Videos, the Daily Bonus Show, the commercial.
Oh no, the bonus show.
Oh, the bonus show where
he makes money, but everyone else who makes money is bad. Oh man, little sub context there. I watched David Pakman religiously for a while, and he is an edgelord. He tries to look at his face. Look at that guy. Look at that guy right there. He wants you to think like he's a normal guy, but he's online just like Omar and I am. We're all online, but he puts on the little puffy sweater with the collar on there, so it makes it look like he's a normal guy from New York. But nah, he's online.
That's that MSNBC please hire me collar.
Yes, with the hair, like all the way up. Like I wish I had that much flowing hair.
My man said, "You don't even need to hire me a stylist. I got it. Just give me the job, please." All right.
Oh my gosh.
All right. This was a caller calling into Pakman's show.
At davidpakman.com/Discord. Let's go next to Eddie from France. Eddie from France, welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Wait, this dude was from France?
Yeah, no, there's a very large international contingent for who watch this show, especially the callers. It's pretty interesting.
Hi, David. I've been a listener for I think 3 theme songs now, and a member for 2.
Appreciate that.
So to give you a bit of time frame.
Thank you.
But I really wanted to ask. Would you be willing to talk more about the Israel-Palestine conflict? I'm
willing. I just don't have anything new to say about it. So I would just be kind of like, I don't know that I've kind of said everything I have to say about it.
You said almost nothing. Let's be real. He said almost nothing. That's the context.
Marcus would know too. Marcus is a long time watcher. They've been 3 theme songs.
I've been there for 3 theme songs as well, actually.
Yeah.
That may be fair. But as a channel of your size, I think you actually do have quite a bit of sway in the general political discourse. I think at roughly 2 million. I wouldn't be surprised if you have, Biden staffers listening to your show every so often.
Yeah.
And it could be beneficial while maybe you don't have
that. He was like, yeah, they do. Yeah,
dude,
they do.
This dude has watched, I can guarantee this guy has been a religious watcher almost as much, probably the same level as I am, because he's doing the thing. He's stroking the ego a little bit. I mean, David Pakman, I'll say the appeal for me to David Pakman was that, like, everything that he said, right, had a very thoughtful, and I'm using past tense because he's kind of fallen off, but like he had a very stringent value system, and he would apply that to everything that was happening, to the point where if you disagreed with him, you could see why you maybe disagreed. You could kind of game plan out what the differences in your value system that his value system were. And even if you disagreed, you still respected the opinion.
Yeah.
And I think with a lot of the issues lately, that there's been a disconnect. And I think that's why a lot of the loyal fans, I think there's a contingent like me and this guy who's calling in who are like, what you're saying now does not fall under the same value system that you have been propagating yourself with for the past 10 years. But sorry, I'm going to stop interrupting. Let's let the Pakman talk. Let's do it.
No, the context is good. But yeah, I did love that little thing. Like, look, Dave, you're smart. You definitely have Biden staffers. Like, come on, like you're
like,
a sensible
that's a good
guy.
thing, though. The other thing is that a good thing that Biden staffers are listening? I don't know. Probably not.
It would explain a whole hell of a lot. It would explain a whole hell of a lot.
But the one thing is, he says sometimes. So like, it's not every show, but I'm sure some shows like these staffers are listening.
Probably.
Anything new in the general discussion of this? There's things happening every day that I think are important to report on. From when the U.S. was blocking condemnations from the UN to, billions in funding to Israel, now we're at over 30,000 civilians killed, according to Euromed Monitor. The fact that in Michigan, Joe Biden could very well lose due to massive loss in Arab American support. Those that even worked for his campaign in 2020 are vowing to not only not work with him, but never vote for him again due to these issues. And I think it would be good because I think your audience doesn't necessarily overlap with other audiences that are talking about this on a very regular level, like Kyle Kulinski's show, Majority Report, Hassan Piker. And so I just kind of wanted to come in and just say,
David's
would you be willing to maybe even just...
David's out here like, you're
like,
right.
There's a reason why.
My audience is smarter. He's like, my audience is smarter.
Yeah, my audience is normies. I'm a normal guy. Hire me, MSNBC. Oh my gosh. I swear, I don't want to be this mean to David because he has a role, right? But he's kind of fumbling the bag here. Like, what's the whole point of like acting all these normies if you're not gonna like radicalize them a little bit, Like, you're bringing all these people in, and then you're just like leaving them at the same level of like, oh yeah, this is very nice, and we have nice things, And you're not saying like, hey, but he's not really like, he's not like percolating here. The water's getting a little stagnant. That's all I gotta say.
We need to get the anyway. We're gonna keep going.
Once a week, or just how you covered COVID, or even Ukraine for a while, because it's been kind of dark since, I think, if I'm not mistaken, October 17th. That's a long time.
Yeah, I am going to continue basically doing what I do. I will cover Ukraine, Israel, Myanmar, Ethiopia, the Syrian civil war. I'll cover all of them when I feel as though there are specific things going on that I can give a unique take on that are related to the primary focus of the show, which is domestic politics. So there have been a number of segments in the last couple of months about if or how the situation in Israel will impact the American election. Like, that's a very in my wheelhouse topic because that's a big issue for us. And so we've looked at polling of young people, their view on Biden related to his actions in Israel and Gaza. So like, that's very much related to this show. With Ukraine, similarly, this isn't really a foreign politics, foreign affairs, foreign policy show. So I cover it when there's something actionable and relevant to the way I do the show. So Putin's interview with Tucker met that. As you say, there's lots of...
Oh, I just want to say, so Putin's interview with Tucker met that, but U.S. funding a genocide does not meet that requirement.
Yeah, there's no foreign policy ramifications. There's no domestic policy ramifications or domestic politics ramifications to this at all.
My man said.
I mean, he mentioned the Michigan thing. I mean, he's had segments about the Michigan thing, but let's be real. The ramifications are vastly wider than David Pakman wants to admit. And he'll kind of show his cards a little bit later too about that.
Man said requirement not met. What JIRA are you running, my guy? What script are you running?
Other shows from what you're telling me that are covering this daily. So it's not like there's a shortage of shows covering those things, you know?
Sure, there's not a shortage, but like as a progressive, I would think that you would want to cover something like, for instance, after the ICJ ruling, where ruled 15-2, Israel needs to provide aid to Gaza. Immediately after that, there was that report that said 12 UNRWA workers participated in the October 7th attack. Channel 4 did a deep dive into this, even got their hands on the documents. There was no evidence of this, but based on that, Joe Biden has canceled all funding to the UNRWA, which supplies all food and medicine to Gaza. And since the correction, where his press secretary has been confronted directly on this, they're taking no action on it. And I think this is very much within that wheelhouse, and it happened quite recently.
Yeah, all right. I mean, listen, I'll tell you one thing, and I don't do the show based on what generates the most interest. I do plenty of stories just because I want to do them, even though most of my audience doesn't care.
Real quick, remember what he just said. Remember what he's just said. It will come back around later.
The stuff you're talking about, my audience does not really have that much of an interest in it, as evidenced by the number of people that watch those clips. Now, I don't believe something is worthy or not of coverage based on the views that it gets. The reason I bring it up is you're asserting that my audience is extremely interested in this stuff and I'm not giving them what they want. When I cover stuff like that, it will sometimes get 1 or 2% the audience of the average of what we do. So that is a signal to me that it is not an unmet need among my audience. And in particular, as you say, so many other shows are covering that stuff daily. You know, so I'm not sure I know what else to say, Eddie, but I hear what you're saying. The facts about what...
Mark, I hear you. Look, I hear you. Big HR language out of David Pakman.
He is he's watched too much Democrat speech. I don't know. He wasn't like this, I swear. When 2016, like I think maybe it's just the fact that like whoever's in power, like when the Republicans are in power, of course he's going to call out the Republicans, so maybe he looks more reasonable.
Amazing.
But like I guess when Democrats are in power, he goes straight into MSDNC mode and just supports them. I don't know. I can't. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why the past past year and a half, it's just been defense of Biden that I can't stomach anymore.
But like even the defense of Biden is something like people are doing to varying degrees, right? That's not even it. I mean, let's even take like this issue out of it. He just contradicted himself. The man said, I do segments all the time on things that I want to do. I don't really take my audience's concern into it. And then he just said, but if I did talk about this, it would get 1% of the views. And he
hasn't even finished contradicting himself. He's got more contradictions to make.
All right, let's finish up these contradictions.
What my audience is looking for aren't totally corresponding with what you're saying, but we'll continue to evaluate and tweak and adjust the show that we do.
I don't think that I'm asserting that your audience would be interested. I'm doing more of an appeal to humanity and principle here of what you as a progressive or leftist, whatever you want to consider yourself. The U.S. is actively participating in an active and at least plausible genocide, according to the ICJ. Hundreds of thousands of people are starving now. I have untreated infections and wounds. We are actively participating in that by funding the weaponry and defunding the aid.
As you know, Eddie, I completely have a different perspective than you as to the entire framing, and this is part of the issue. That okay, so now we would need an hour and a half to even unwind what you just said, and I lose my entire audience if that's what I spend my time on.
There it is.
Yep.
There it is.
There it is.
That's the one. And I think there's like 2 sentences. Maybe we let him finish on this, but we'll that's going to be key when we talk about it. Let's play him
There's
out.
a lot to discuss here about Pakman.
Let's play this guy out.
It's just the show's over. The show's over if that's what I do.
All right. I guess keep doing what you do. Thank
All
you.
right, Eddie. Thanks.
Big shout out to Eddie. Can we just like
Shouts out to Eddie from France.
shout out to Eddie from France. I was like expecting Eddie to be like, "Oh, David, why you not talk about the genocide?"
Oh man, you're frying him. You're frying him. I don't know why.
I love Eddie. He's asking.
Yeah.
He, like I said before, he handled this impeccably.
Expert. Like he addressed all the main concerns. And I want to say something really quick before we get even deeper into this commentary. This call-in section is not easy to load up, right? So you have to be a dedicated David Pakman fan to download Discord, also add his Discord, and then at some point on Wednesday, like in the middle of the day while everyone's working, you have to like have your Discord notifications pop to your phone to know that David Pakman is going live. And then you have to wait in a queue where you have to have a specific name, where you have to change it has to be blank from blank. And if it's not in that format, he will not call you. And you just have to hope that he picks on you. So I think in this episode, this is the Friday show, there's 8 people who called. 2 of them were disaffected leftists who were pissed off that he wasn't being an authentic person. He wasn't actually like saying something that mattered. You know, the other one was saying that like, you know, he was complaining about like the list of people who David thinks are going to lead the Progressive Party who aren't actually progressives, including Gavin Newsom. So
you know what the funniest part was, and I realized this like when we were like trying to find this show, because he usually does timestamps and they're like very in-depth timestamps. You can see like he even does timestamp for like this 1 minute segment right here, right?
Yeah.
But when you go there, he went out of his way here, Marcus, to like he's like caller, like progressive caller furious, like that was a caller before him, before Eddie, right? He went out of his way not to create a timestamp for the Israel Palestine conversation.
And that was not a short conversation.
It was not a short conversation.
But yeah, no. But like going back to the point, so if there's 8 calls and 2 of them are, what are you doing? Like you're not endorsing the values that you said that you supported over all these years. That's 25% of his audience. I mean, I know it's a small sample, so forgive me for all the statisticians out there. Okay, it's a very small sample, but when you got 1 out of 4 people saying, "Hey, what are you doing morally?" Maybe you should like consider that a little bit. You know, maybe not just dismiss it. And actually, he did address it on today's show. It's not worth playing, but he had if you look at his opening intro for today's show, he does like a 5-minute soliloquy about how I'm getting these calls from the left, and they're saying that I'm not the true progressive, and they're trying to push me more left. But I think this is where I believe.
This is how narcissistic this asshole is. I'm sorry. Like he would rather do a 5 to 10 minute segment, and he's done this multiple times, like complaining about his audience calling him, asking him questions about this conflict, rather than actually address the conflict himself.
Here's the thing. He needs to do the 30-minute segment that loses his entire audience, right? I think even if I disagree with him, right, that's been the moral authority of his show for the past 10 years is him saying, I'm going to keep it real with you. And if he believes Israel has the right to defend itself and he wants to make that argument, then make it. But I think it's dishonest to the audience to say, I'm not going to give you my real opinion because I think I'm going to lose
narcissistic.
You. So that's either one saying that your opinions are so bad that you'd rather just completely keep them to yourself, or the alternative is your audience is not intelligent enough to understand the nuance of your points. So which one is it? Is it the audience is stupid, or is your opinion stupid? I mean, you could there's probably some way you thread the middle of those 2 things, right? And he's a master linguist. He could probably come up with some kind of middle ground there.
Is he a master linguist? Because I feel like this segment proved that he isn't, because he got owned in this segment.
But it's taken this long for him to get owned. It's been what 150 days at this point, and he's very thoroughly avoided this topic with masterful language. So I'm going to give him he's hard to hammer down, but I think after this segment, there's no room. Like he's got to like just do the 30-minute segment and like explain what he actually believes.
But like even if you when he said that, right? If you look at like what led to him saying that, it's wild because these are like irrefutable facts. It's like, like there are hundreds of thousands of people starving in Gaza, tens of thousands killed. And his reaction to those numbers was, Eddie, I disagree with the framing. And I don't want it could take an hour and a half for us to unwind that. And I'm like, wait, you disagree with the framing that there is a humanitarian crisis going on in Gaza? You simple-minded fuck. Like, what? I'm sorry. Like, this pisses me off. Because David Pakman is the guy who will go out there and he will, you're right, he is a master linguist. And he will make it sound like he is the smartest guy in the room because he always has to be. Like, these types of guys, like, they always think, like, they have to be the smartest person in the room. That's why when you saw him, like, he doesn't address the issue because he's smart enough to know that he's wrong, but he's not smart enough to believe that, he's actually infallible. Like, he's just like, look, everyone disagrees with me. That means they're all wrong and I'm correct. And
he says he's not afraid of pissing off the audience, but he is. He's one person afraid of that.
And what he's been doing, and it's in segment after segment, it's like he's been not only espousing and showing outright his narcissism, but he's also been just. It's almost like, you remember how his whole thing used to be like, let's go against like the MAGA right. Like he would always go against the MAGA right. He did Jesse Lee Peterson's show, amazing by the way. He did like all those shows. He made rounds, did the PBD podcast, and he would troll a lot, and he would talk down to those guys a lot.
Yep.
And it's so weird because now he's doing it to his own audience. And I'm just like, as a YouTuber, right? Like, there are sections of your audience that you might not agree with. There are sections of your audience that you might, whatever, right? And I'm not saying that he should take into account, like, what his audience is saying, but, like, downright insulting them over this specific issue is something that I find very hard to defend, especially when your full-time job is content creation. It's not.
What's his subscriber count on? I'm looking. Sorry,
2.07 million.
2.7 million, and let's just be generous and say 1 out of 5 of them are like people like us, like progressives like us. Let's say the rest of them are just kind of normies. Maybe a few Republicans thrown in there.
Let's say like half of them are inactive, right? Because that tends to happen. Like, let's just say 1 million subscribers.
The most online lefties, right? They probably subbed. They probably want a little bit of deep Pakman in the inbox just to kind of keep their media diet a little bit spread around the left. So he's got reach around the left. Like, all these other people have talked about him, right? Hassan has brought him up. Kyle Kalinske has brought him up. Everyone is talking about, like, oh, Pakman doesn't really talk about Israel and Gaza. He's trying to avoid it here. But so, like, he's got a sizable reach around the entirety of the left. If he has these beliefs, right? This is his whole mantra, right? Like, I am here to give my opinion and justify it. And I'm here to say things that they won't necessarily say on cable TV. And that's why it's valuable. That's why you should be a member and join the bonus show. But if you got something you need to say, please say it. And I think that people there's always that 10% on the left who's just like neck bearded out, hasn't showered in a while. He's already got to deal with that. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay today. I got my fresh cut and it's shaved, so it's good. We're good.
Give me till Friday.
Yeah, but if you're worried about losing them, then like fine. But there's a lot of reasonable people who just disagree with you, and it just would be more respectful to us if you said your disagreement and you laid out the case. You did the 30 minutes, and then at least we know where we stand. Okay, I really don't understand this hiding the ball kind of like Well, I don't really agree with the left, so I'm not going to mention it because I have a bunch of lefties who are in my audience,
But
and it
I'm
would
also
make
gonna
them mad.
talk down to every single one of those lefties when they call in. You know what he's okay? It's so weird because Pakman and like like a lot of like the left that people traditionally watched, right? Like over the past few years. Like he was always one of those guys who's like, oh, Jimmy Dore goes too far. Jimmy Dore, like he
Yeah.
wouldn't involve himself directly, but he would always like you knew that's what he thought, and like, he would every now and then throw a little thing there. And it's so weird because the whole like progressive thing that Dore was doing, he's doing now. He's because
Yeah.
like the whole complaining about progressives not either not doing enough or being faux or whatever fake progressives. He's doing it now because every like out of every 10 videos, he does a video now complaining about the left. Like,
Oh yeah. And the worst one was, I think it was October 17th, the one the guy was talking about. He made a video saying, "I'm losing a lot of subscribers because I'm not talking about this." Doesn't talk about it, but then talks about how he's losing subscribers. And then a week later, he's like, "Oh yeah, so I made that video, and then a bunch of people subscribed to me for money." So it's like, I don't know, like, what are you doing? Is this not really for the clicks? Is it not for the money, or is it for the money? I don't know.
look,
Like, it just
I am no fan of Alex Jones, but he was kind of right in that.
Yeah.
In that for
The
David
bonus show.
Pakman, the bonus show where if
Where-
I make money, it's okay, but everyone else who makes money is bad. Like that's what Pakman's living that truth. Like,
Yeah. Except for Techman's always kind of said that like making money is fine. I mean, if you want to talk about the only guy on the internet who said I don't want to make money, it's Kyle Kalinske. That's the one guy who's like, I never want to make money.
no, Kyle. Big shout out to Kyle Kalinske, friend of the show, Kyle Kalinske. We love you.
Yeah, friend. He doesn't know. I don't know. Maybe he does.
Maybe
he's like,
no. Yeah,
maybe
look,
he's subscriber 54. I
he's
don't know.
our friend. We're not his friend yet, but
Yeah,
he is.
we'll get there one day, maybe. So I don't know. Did we cover everything with Pakman?
I don't know. I mean,
he also did like a scam, like with that the Scottish Lord thing, and he never really acknowledged that either.
oh no, he got. Oh no, Sam Cena.
Yeah, no,
he got
he-
Scottish lorded. He
Yeah,
got
no, he
knighted,
was-
and he.
No, yeah. So he did the ads for the Scottish Lord. Was it Scotland? Oh my gosh, I don't want to send all the Scottish out here.
I
Or
remember
was it
that one.
Ireland?
I remember it because like that was big. All the YouTubers were doing that.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a scam, and you saw so
And
many
every-
apology videos.
And he never made an apology about it. He just took the ads down. So I mean, the guy is kind of he's an operative. He's a political operative. He's not an actual like true based or he's not like a truth based truth teller guy. He's more of a let me make some political points. Let me get some subscribers. It's like and the arrogance that exudes from the guy just it's really fun when it's directed at the right things, but when it's directed at like people who are reasonable, like the French guy, what is Eddie from France, right?
Oui.
He didn't. He didn't really give Eddie from France the credibility or the verisimilitude that he deserved, and he does that a lot when people disagree with him on the call-in show.
And like the thing there is like, again, it's that weird thing of like you look back now, like everything he did before, and you're like what was he really like thinking here? Like, was he actually like trying to like, was this actually what he believed, or was he just like playing a part? And it's that weird thing of Michael Jamal Brooks, huge inspiration for this show, by the way, said like he once said this about Dore, ironically enough, right? That if like critique and reactions and that kind of stuff, if you want to be a reactionary in this space and make money, like, do you? That's your hustle. If that's your thing, it's an easy hustle. It's very easy to make money. David Pakman is living evidence of that. He's at 2 million subscribers. It's a very easy thing to do, and you can be very good at it and very profitable at it. But when you do that, don't try to act like, what you're doing is necessarily helping. Kyle Kalinske, right, is another guy. Like, he admits, he's like, yeah, I react to stuff and I give my opinion. I'm not pretending that everything that I do on that show is like, change people's mind. He's done it in different ways. He founded Justice Democrats. He's gone on done like talks on Rogan and talks on other podcasts. Crystal Kyle and Friends is kind of a space for that, for more long form discussions around that. But like he has said, like, like I just make videos about politics on YouTube. I react to stuff. Like that's blatantly what he does. With Pakman and like Door 2, it is that thing of like they want to have their cake and eat it too, because they want to be taken seriously as change makers. They want to be taken seriously as leaders of the left, but who people who change people's minds and have influence, but also the person who can just put out a video of and dunk on Republicans or dunk on lefties and tankies or whatever and make money. When like it's a very hard line to walk, and it's not an easy one to do. But Pakman, in my opinion, does not do it well.
And let me just say one thing about that. Like, I, as a viewer of content, sometimes producer, big time viewer, I want someone to be honest with me and they want them to give me their authentic self. And I mean, I don't care if I agree or disagree with someone. I watched Rogan before. I disagree with him on a lot of things, but he's authentic. Whatever that is, that's real. I watched you on various different platforms, and we disagree. We have hours long conversations on things we disagree about. We've disagreed on this show. We've done it. But like we've never left the conversation, and I've never felt like, man, he was just saying things to get under my skin, or man, he was just saying that to get a reaction out of me. But lately, when I've been watching Pakman talk about these issues, particularly when we're talking about the Israel-Gaza, conflict, the genocide of the whole freaking area, I just get a lot of authentic vibes. If you go watch this conversation back again, the one that Pakman had with Eddie from France, he definitely didn't want to talk about it. He held back, and it's been like that for almost half a year. As someone who, heck, I paid for the bonus show. I gave him money, because I was a subscriber. I did that, and as someone who's done that, I felt like give the audience the respect that the audience deserves. If you disagree, that's fine. I will adamantly disagree with you back, but I will still respect you because you made a logical argument that has been the moral basis of your show for 10 years, is making logical arguments and having good faith that the audience will have good faith back to you. And when you discard people's opinions because they disagree with you, and you say you don't want to talk about something because you want to maintain the base of your audience, that just seems to me that you're throwing away 10 years of this moral authority that we need on the left. We need moral authority because we don't have the capital. We don't have the moneyed interest. We don't have the ability to use racism against different populations for power. That's Republican stuff. We don't have that. So when you throw away your moral authority like that for no good reason, right? Maybe he'd lose 5% of his paying subscribers. I think he loses more by doing this garbage. And I just really disappoints me because he's someone that I respected, and he's someone who I thought can have divergent opinions on the left space, right? He's not the normal lefty, he's got more normal appeal. He's a good spokesman. He's not like that guy on Reddit who like was talking for no work. This is someone you could throw on Fox News. I think he's been on there before, and he'd convince some people. But the fact that he just, can't be honest with his audience, I find that, it's very disappointing, kind of depressing. And the other segment that he did earlier the week where he's talking about who's going to lead the left,
Gavin Newsom, baby.
Gavin Newsom, like, honestly, we need someone like Pakman to lead the left, right? You know, someone who can like make normal appeal to normies. Omar is going to disagree with me on this. This is my personal belief.
We don't need Pakman to lead the
But
left.
no, we don't need him anymore because like we need someone who's honest. We need someone who can make honest statements, and two, get people from the other side and like get them to realize it.
Yeah.
That's what we need. That's what we don't have. That's why we don't have a list.
What do you mean?
Do you have a list? I don't have a list.
We have Pete Buttigieg. How dare you? Like our Lord and Savior, man. Pete Buttigieg, Secretary.
Come on, man. Now you're sounding like David.
What do you mean?
Secretary of making sure that East Palestine doesn't get the resources that it needs. Biden and Palestinians have not worked well. Let's just say that.
It is crazy how like look, one thing you can say about Biden, he has been
horrible.
No. Well, yes, obviously. But, you know, he's been consistent when it comes to Palestine. He doesn't like any of them.
Yeah. How many people in Palestine have to die before Biden realizes he needs to, one, regulate the rail industry, two, support the unionization of the rail industry, three, support the EPA when chemical issues arise so that people don't die of cancer 10 years from now. And then also, that's just the one Palestine. We've gotten into the other Palestine today too.
We joke, but like I mean, it is. I still can't believe that his reaction. Like I can because it's Pakman, and you and I have talked about this like before, like because I've always Pakman for whatever reason, like especially over the past like few years, even like pre Biden, he rubbed me the wrong way for a while, and I couldn't tell exactly why. Until like fairly recently, like even like before October 7th, I think you and I would be talking. I was just like, I don't know. He just comes across as like kind of he just comes across as an a-hole sometimes. Like if I'm being honest, he just doesn't come across as a guy I want to talk to.
That was kind of his shtick, though. You know, like and sometimes you need an a-hole. Like who was it who was going on Fox News and really just like holding them to account? There was a couple people. I mean, Gavin Newsom was doing pretty good with that. And not that I want him to be the new leader of the left, a thought leader or whatever, but like, I mean, he does his occasional good things.
Hey, look, people who know this, people who write op-eds, you know, they're loving Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, no, like, I mean, like we need people who can go on to Fox News and hold their own. I mean, Bernie Sanders is old. He was the best at it though.
He did it.
He could do it. He could do it. He was one of those people. When he goes on Fox News, you were excited. You know, you're like, okay, we're gonna get a couple like racist Trump people, and they're gonna be lefties by the end of this. And lo and behold,
what happened with Rogan? He went on Rogan, and I promise you, he went on Rogan and created a lot more socialists after that.
Yep, absolutely.
Like there were, but you know, like. Of course, like they had to be like Bernie bad because he's talking to people. Oh, I just flew away.
Oh man, don't leave.
I got canceled, Marcus. I got canceled.
They're taking you away. Talk bad about the Pakman, you know. Look, we're gonna be relegated to the bonus show.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. What does Pakman have anything?
Let's see. Yeah, it's so complicated because let's not even continue delving into it. Maybe I'll do a segment addressing.
Okay, you know what? Pakman spoke for us too. Let's not even continue delving into it.
Marcus. Yeah, let's not. I think we've delved into all of it. We've talked about everything that he didn't want to talk about.